Call the regular meeting. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you right now, Lord, praising your name. We thank you for being the great God that you are, creating everything, giving us the opportunity to come here and deal with these issues and try to do the best for the taxpayers of Scott County. Father, we want to lift up our friend and colleague, Diane Mullins, who's at the bedside of her daughter Tiffany, who's dying, and we just lay this at your feet, Lord, and ask for peace and comfort for them and the family, and let them know that you love them, we love them, and you've made a place in heaven for those of us who believe. Thank you for all that, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, before we begin, I have a statement that I'd like to read. Today I will be stepping down as Scott County Council President. As some of you may or may not know, my father has been diagnosed with Parkinson's and as recently as 3 weeks ago has had a series of strokes. With my parents being 6 hours away, a child going to school 6 hours away, and a child still in his school age years, my mother-in-law having cancer, and my husband's godmother having dementia, I am needing availability to take care of my family without being torn for not being able to do the duties of the Scott County President, of the Council President, and possibly missing meetings. With the upcoming budget hearings, I feel it will be a disservice to the county and the departments if I were to stay on as president and not be able to give the hearings my full attention as required by the council president. My vote will continue to carry the same weight whether I'm a president, vice president, or a member of the council. I have sat on the county council for 3 years and 4 months, with only missing 2 meetings. One in February of this year due to strep throat, and in March of this year to watch my child achieve her goal she set for herself to play college softball, and I will not apologize for that. I will continue to approach my role on the council with the same respect, seriousness, and importance as I have in the last 3 years and 4 months. With that being said, I would ask the blessings of the council to step down from the role of council president and ask for a motion to restructure the board.
I would like to make a motion to restructure the board.
I'll second that.
I have a motion to restructure the board and a second. All in favor? I can vote for that. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to put J.R. Ward as the president of the board and Lindy Eubanks as vice president of the board.
I'll second that.
I have a motion on the floor to make J.R. Ward president and myself as vice president. All in favor? No, I'm not gonna vote for myself. I'll vote for you.
I'll vote for you.
All right. Passed unanimously, I guess. So, all right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to JR.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Or my condolences.
All right, without further delay, Mr. Owens, you're up.
I was gonna wish you congratulations or condolences, but Mr. White beat me to it. So, and Lindy, thank you for what you've done over the last 3 years and 4 months. Appreciate everything you've done in your work for the county. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm here for 2 things. One is I'm asking to amend the salary ordinance it is the position I think is titled Criminal and Child Support Deputy Prosecutor. This deputy prosecuting attorney not only does all criminal cases, as a full criminal caseload, but they also run our child support division. And as you're aware, I talked to you guys last month and told you this was coming. I had 2 people leave last year. So I had 2 open deputy prosecutor spots. Only 1 person applied for both of those spots. So at the end of the year last year, we talked a little bit and took money from that vacant position that I had no applicants for anyway, and kind of moved some money to raise the salaries of deputy prosecutors that I had. So we're supposed to have 6 deputy prosecutors. That took us down to basically 5. And then the person who had taken that spot decided that they've been practicing law now for 6 or 7 years in various roles, and they decided that the practice of law was not for them, and so they stepped down as a deputy prosecutor and is doing their plan is to do something outside the practice of law. I don't remember when we advertised that, but it's been a few months now. We've had that position advertised through the paper process, the bulletin boards here, what we're supposed to do. Also, the main place in Indiana for deputy prosecutors to find jobs is on the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council website. And that's been posted there ever since it's been available, and I don't have any applicants for the amount that we're paying. So what I'm asking is to amend the salary ordinance for that spot to take it from $79,000 to $95,000. I think that brings that position commensurate to what's being paid in a lot of surrounding counties. I believe that's, and I think Heather can speak to this, I think that's around where Clark County starts out. Same with Floyd's about the same. That's where they start out, as paying a entry-level right out of law school type deputy prosecutors. So asking for that, and then in addition, I'm asking to take, I have some money, and I don't remember the exact line item, but there's some money in the law enforcement tax that's out there, and I'm asking to take $16,000 to pay this difference from $79,000 to $95,000. Take money from the LIT fund, or that local option income tax, and use that to pay that $16,000. So I'm not asking for an additional appropriation, just asking to move money, transfer, or actually, I think it stays in that account, but just use it to pay that portion of that salary.
Okay.
So those are my 2 asks.
Which in front of us tonight is resolution 2024-2, and it's a resolution to transfer appropriations between major budget classifications. So it would be moving the $16,000 from line item 1170-11135, chief deputy trial prosecutor, to 1170-11123 of deputy prosecutor, which would go to the criminal and child support. So I would entertain a motion to transfer this money, and then we can talk about the salary ordinance.
I'd make a motion to transfer the money.
A motion on the floor made by White, a second by John Collins. All in favor of the transfer?
Motion, second discussion.
So, oh yeah. I don't know anybody down there. So, hand that back, we'll sign that. And then
It
you
was
have that
unanimous.
salary ordinance.
There's also, Eric wasn't here for the vote.
Yeah, Eric was out for that.
And there's also an ordinance to create a line item for that transfer.
Okay. Do we have that ordinance for a line item?
I didn't see that in our packet, so I believe it was 326.
Eric, while you were out, we just transferred some money from one line item to another to cover a change in what he had talked about last month, with the prosecutor he's wanting to hire into a position. But with that would come ordinance 2024-26, and that is an ordinance for a line creation. And it would be ordained by the Common Council of Scott County that a new line in the budget hereby created under Fund 1170, location 0009, numbered 11123, to put that transfer into a line item. So, a motion for that.
I'd make a motion to transfer, or to create
Create
the
the
line
line.
item.
Johnny White with a motion to create the line item. John Collins with a second on that line creation. Open for any discussion, comments at this time? No comments or questions, all in favor? 5-0. And then the last thing we would have to do for that would be amend the salary ordinance, which is in front of me, to move that salary in the numbers that he said it would end at on this ordinance, the final number, the same as his first trial deputy prosecutor, from $75,000 to $95,014.40 would be the final number on that. So I would entertain a motion to accept the amended salary ordinance for the prosecutor's office.
I'll make that motion.
John Collins with a motion. Any questions or comments after White's has a second? No? All in favor of the salary ordinance amendment? 5-0. All right. Anything else, sir?
That's it. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I will tell you, we're getting by, but with the too short, we couldn't do any more. I've actually had, since going too short, I've had a couple different prosecutors come in. I had to kind of talk them off the ledge, just kind of being overdone. And just also to kind of know, and I have a deputy prosecutors going through some stuff and just let you guys kind of know what we deal with sometimes. We have a deputy prosecutor right now who's going through a situation where someone that we've sent to prison, served their time in prison, they've come out, they started writing letters, they started doing some really weird stuff, and they've actually now filed a paternity action on saying that like they're the father of their child. That's the kind of stuff we sometimes have to deal with on top of just the workload. That's it's a complete load of BS, and we're having to fight with that and work with the Attorney General's office to have a hearing on that this week. And they can't even make the right timeline of when the child was born, but it's just this stuff that's brought into the public filings and stuff that we have to deal with that, isn't always known, but that can wear on a family and on a person and, drive you to the point where you almost want to, get out of this business. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. So
Our
thank
thoughts
you.
and prayers are with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Next up would be Judge Hauser representing Superior Court on a transfer request. And I don't think she's in attendance, so I'll read these letters that she sent. One is, this letter's in regard to our court claims. We need to transfer the following $500 from postage into law books. The other one is to the auditor. The letter for court claims that we request to transfer the following $2,663 from the transcripts line into law books. With that would come resolution number 2023-3, and it's a resolution to transfer appropriations between major budget classifications, whereas the judge is requesting the transfer of those said amounts, $2,663 from transcripts line into law books and $500 from postage into law books. I would entertain a motion to vote with this. John Collins with a motion.
I'll second.
Johnny White with a second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? None at this time. All in favor of the transfer? 5-0. That one should have gone back. I did those.
You did that already?
That's visitors.
Sorry.
You got the judge? Okay.
I do.
Next up is Circuit Court, Judge Mount representing for his letter, court claims for Scott Circuit Court. Dear Auditor, this letter is in regards to our court claims. We're requesting an additional appropriation for the account number 13,400, the pauper transcripts. We asked for $1,500 in the 2024 budget, which was approved. However, we filed a $3,500 claim that we thought would have been paid in 23, and it was not paid until 2024. So we're currently overexpended by $2,087.50. With the March claims, we anticipate this account will be overextended by $3,522. So they're requesting additional appropriation to bring the line item to the original 2024 approved budget amount of $1,500. The total amount of the appropriation requested would be $5,022. Sincerely, Judge Mount. And with that would be ordinance number 2024-27, and it is an ordinance for an additional appropriation. It has been determined that the money was not appropriated in the annual budget to cover the 2023 bill that came in, and therefore the council is being requested to approve an additional amount of $5,022, which would pay 23's bill and leaving $1,500 his original requested amount in the line. So I would entertain a motion to accept ordinance 2024-27.
I'd make a motion to accept it.
Johnny White with a motion to accept, John Collins with a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? We're good on that line item fund, right? Okay.
Yeah, so,
Oh, all in favor of it? 5-0. All right, next up will be Sheriff Gooden with the vehicle purchase. Sorry about that. How are you, sir?
Not yourself.
All right.
Before we get started, I would like to ask a quick question. Sure. I'd like to have a moment of silence for Hendricks County Sheriff's
I seen
deputy was
that
killed
today.
this morning, electrocuted. I would just have a moment of silence.
Absolutely.
Died in the line of duty. So,
Sure.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes. That was a car wreck, right?
Car wreck.
Never know what's coming, but, so I think on this one, we know we're talking about the 3 Ford trucks that we have an outstanding bill on, I think, that needs to be paid. Some of the questions that came up to me before we dive in it too much is how the budget actually works, and I'd like to just take a minute to address that so everybody's on the same page. The budgeting process in Scott County and every other county that I'm aware of is a department head from not only the sheriff's office, but every department writes a proposed budget. It is then turned into the auditor's office. The auditor's office takes that proposed budget and we advertise monies in the local papers. That's kind of, for lack of better words, a wish list, if you will, for that particular department. But it's also a ceiling that allows the council, when we set a budget, to go up to that amount on any given line or any overall budget. The actual budget isn't enacted until it's passed by this board with a majority vote, then sent to the state, approved by the state, and then given back. So that's how the budget process works. So like a budget for 2025 doesn't exist right now because we haven't even began talking about it at this board. So until we'll receive preliminary budgets or proposed budgets from department heads, and then we meet with them, we sit down, we talk with them, try to figure out where things are going, what they need, and what the county can afford. And then at that point, this board meets and budgets come from this board is how it's set for the county. So with that, anything you wanna say on
Yeah,
this?
it is.
I'll let you talk for a minute and then we'll
Here's the
dive
thing
into
about
it.
it is this. I don't care where you come up with the money, that's up to you. I've been working with the auditor's office. I gotta say thank you again, ladies. They've been doing a tremendous job working with me, because of the cuts that we've had. No different in this. She's come up with a plan, to hopefully fix it, remove some monies from the general fund, from special purpose, and paying off the truck payments. I'm fine with that. It doesn't matter to me what you guys decide to do, okay? But remember this, okay? And I'll say it this time. So if you don't pay them off, remember now, this time next year, we're gonna owe a payment of $33,000 on some trucks.
Right.
Okay? So, cause for some reason that wasn't clear, you know what I'm saying, before. So I just wanna make sure that's clear.
Okay.
If you pay them off, then obviously we won't,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
So,
And so,
one thing else, I'm sorry.
no,
One thing
you're
else-
good. Go ahead.
One thing else I was gonna say was this too. We did incur a late fee of $608 from Ford Motor Credit, okay? I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think the taxpayers should have to fund that bill. I say with some integrity that the council can show is that they made the mistake, they can pony up and pay that out of their county council salaries to pay that $608 for the fee.
Okay, well, we disagree with you because you never sit in front of us and asked for these trucks to be
Yes, I
paid
have.
for.
Yes, I have.
Well, there's
I've
no,
got- I'll bring
hold on,
witnesses.
this is our meeting, okay?
Well, let me tell you,
Part of
something.
your
You are
order-
not gonna belittle me in front of people and make
Part
lies
of
and not allow
your
me to
ruling,
respond,
your
okay?
responsibility is to maintain order,
I
not
will
to
maintain
upset.
it. I will maintain it.
So we can have a conversation.
always do.
Or we can end the meeting and we can move on,
Well,
whatever you choose,
You,
but
you
we
will
have
allow
to
me to
make-
respond though, okay? That's
We
the
have to
problem.
make a decision here.
I know you do.
So I have to talk as much as you have to talk.
Talk away.
Okay.
But you're gonna give me a chance to respond because the lies and the miscalculations are not gonna be told without a chance to respond like it was the last time.
But-
I'm gonna have to come in here, I don't wanna be called a liar.
Well, I don't either, Eric, you know what I'm
I don't think
saying?
anybody does.
So that's the reason why I
I
said,
didn't call anybody a liar.
Okay,
And I don't wanna be called a liar. So, stop the liar stuff.
well, I'm just telling you what,
I didn't lie.
I didn't make the first
And I
start.
didn't say that you were.
hey,
Okay.
hold on, I'm gonna call the meeting back to order because it's ultimately the county council's meeting and it's us to maintain the order of it. So, we have to talk about this, we're gonna get into it, we're gonna work through it, but we gotta do it respectfully to each other. So,
Well, as long as the truth is told.
okay, so we can disagree with the fact, that's not wrong to disagree. The fact of the matter is, yes, there was a money on a line item in a budget worksheet, which I have right here, if anybody wants to see. But there was not a line set for a debt service to Ford Motor Credit, which is what would have been done had we all talked about these trucks. So moving forward, I've talked to them today and they're not ready to repossess the trucks. They just want
Paid.
something worked out. To which I told them, we're gonna work something out. And I think so, but I think we have some options here. And I would like to go through those options to where everybody gets to hear them. And then we, the council, decide on what option we think fits best, and that's how we handle it. But we gotta just be respectful both ways.
I
So
totally agree,
that's
but
all
like I
ask.
said, we're gonna tell the truth.
So the first option obviously isn't a good one, and that's don't pay it. They will get repossessed. The county looks horrible. I don't think that's in anybody's best interest, in the county, the council, yours, no one. So I think that's off the table. The next option is we have the ability to secure a loan through a local bank. And we ask multiple banks locally. We've talked to them and we've been in communication with the commissioner board who has to enter into agreements. And one of those is we can take money to cover this amount, which is about 111,000 total due. And out of the rainy day fund, you could invest that with a local bank. Once you make an investment with that local bank, then they would allow us to receive a loan at 3% interest, which is really great terms given what's going on right now. That would keep our lit money freed up if we should need anything moving forward for the year. Since it is April, I don't think it would be a very good, wise idea to take a large sum of money out of the local income tax that the people have paid. Then moving forward, we could set in a budget for years forward, working with you to get that payment paid. So that's an option. And frankly, I personally think it's a pretty fair option. Another option is take money out of the local income tax and do these transfers, which would essentially be transferring. It's kind of confusing. Do you care to just explain it? Because I think you helped write it up. It would be a little bit easier.
Absolutely. So the proposal is, no, I've got
Okay.
copies here. So the proposal is to take the jailer salaries that are currently in lit public safety, which is all public safety, right? Transfer that appropriation to lit special purpose, which is only for the jail. Currently, lit special purpose, when you take out all of the, already appropriated money, and you put back the money that we will be getting for the lit distributions throughout the year, has a cash value of $1.3 million. So taking that $403,082.52, which is the remainder of the appropriation for the jailers' salaries, and appropriating it there, would give you a cash balance at the end of 2024 of $939,435.92. In addition, by taking it out of the lit public safety, you're actually putting money back in that can be reappropriated for other things, and that's the sum of $281,000. Because it's the 403 minus the 120, which would pay off the trucks. And in paying off the trucks, you're gonna avoid about $15,000 in interest.
So that's an option. and then,
Make sure they understand that there are two lids.
yes, you're right. There's LIT, which stands for local income tax, public safety, which can be the sheriff's office, EMS, EMA, prosecutor.
No,
I think that's it, right? No, they don't do it because they're in that program. I think that's it. So I think those four, right off the top of my head. And all of those do currently use that fund. Then the other is a local income tax that is a special purpose, and it's solely for the jail and jail-related expenses. That's all that can be used for. So we would be allowed to transfer the jailer salaries to that. There would be no issue there. That would be fine. Another option would be to ask you if you had funds in your auction proceeds account or your commissary account that you could help pay this one payment, and then we move forward with budgeting from there. Is that an option?
No, it's not. We're completely broke because we've been already spending those funds because of where you cut us at with everything else. So we've already been utilizing those funds and what we've been doing. So.
Okay, all right. So then I guess the final option would be, and I don't really like this one either, but it would be to call a town hall meeting and explain to people where we could raise taxes and find taxes that are in this county we could max out and give that money to the sheriff.
Well, the sheriff's already got his
needs.
money. He's got two local income tax already, so that wouldn't be true. So make sure that's, again, you see what I'm saying? Let's make sure we're telling what's the whole truth.
Sure, but ultimately, we either cut spending or raise revenue. Well, the only revenue is taxes. We can't go sell stuff or cut spending. So if we wanna meet in between, that's the only options we
Exactly.
have. And I wanna go through all the options that the county could endure should the people of this county choose
Right,
that.
say that. Okay,
I did.
okay. No,
So,
you made it sound
those
like
are-
that we was causing a tax, and that's completely wrong. That they would have to raise taxes because of the sheriff's office, and that's completely wrong, what you're saying, because you just told we got two local income taxes already that the sheriff's office has had for years, okay? So you wouldn't be raising the money for the
Well, you
sheriff's
don't,
office.
the county does. The county
Right.
has the local income tax.
Exactly, but one of them is specifically for the jail, and the other one was for public safety. And that public safety fund was created for the sheriff's office years ago, and others got added to it. So, and that's.
I don't know,
that's
I
the
wasn't here
truth.
for that,
Okay.
but I just know the people that use it. But those are the options that are before all of us tonight. Is there some comments, questions from the council about any of those, or any way that anybody would like to look more?
I like moving the sheriff's money around, nothing against him, but if we can pay him off, it saves the county $15,000.
Okay.
I like that option better. If we can pay a note, then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Okay.
If you move it to a local bank at 3% versus 10.5% though, that's gonna cut that to about a third. So you're gonna be $5,000 in interest over the course of that loan. I personally like that option the best of what I've heard,
And
and it moves the money back local.
the good thing is, yeah, it helps more local banks, and it keeps $111,000 in the fund that if we should need something. Since it is April, we have the rest of the year to go through.
Exactly why we left it there at budget time was in case something catastrophic was to happen, we could have access to it.
Yeah.
Here's the only thing I would ask, of course, it's yours as a decision, but I would ask is where the money is now that you're wanting to take and put into it, because I think the public would recognize what you're wanting to do is more of a home equity loan, where you take the $1 million you got, put it into account, and the bank will loan you that, your own money for 3%. Basically is what you're saying. So, correct?
Somewhat.
Okay, so if you take where you have the money now, I don't know
Right.
if you're drawing anything at all, but it's where at 8.5% interest is what we're on these trucks, okay?
Right.
Time you take it out of that, whatever it's got in there, wherever you've got it at, whatever it's drawing, you're gonna lose that because you're putting into a home equity where you're getting charged now 3%. If you would just pay the money, like Mr. Collins said, you're done and done with. That's just my take on it.
Okay. Anything here?
And I hate to put somebody on the spot, but I've seen Russ Comer back here. He can explain all this to you and tell you the best of it.
Sorry, Russ, I would be more than happy at my office to explain this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything here?
No, I'm gonna need some time to think about all this stuff. I think it's pretty convoluted, a lot of information, and I mean, if I had to vote on tonight, I'd vote no on all of it, because I don't understand it enough to, to get it down pat.
And I think, I mean, like I said, I talked to the guy from Ford Motor Credit, and they're a month out on the payment, so kinda, yes, we gotta come up with something by the end of the week. So I'm not saying tonight, but if not tonight, then we need to, hold some kind of a special meeting by the end of the week with advertising. It'd have to be probably Friday to come up with a
That's
finalized
up to you
plan.
guys, I just,
Well, it's not up to, I mean, all of us have the right to vote, we all hold the same voting, so if that's something you guys wanna do, we can entertain that, but what's your thoughts? No? No thoughts?
I'm not gonna transfer $400,000 to pay $110,000 note.
Okay.
You know, I'm kinda with Eric on that one. If I've got to vote to do that tonight, I'm not gonna do it.
So how much time would you guys need?
One comment on that, transferring that salary that is jail salary to the only can be used jail fund actually frees up money in the public safety that could be used for other things like EMS or EMA.
I understand that fully.
Here's my take on this. Like I said, I don't care where you get the money. We just gotta pay a truck payment. We gotta pay a payment, cause it's gonna destroy the credit rating of the county. It's gonna do a lot of stuff if you don't pay that
And
truck
we
payment.
all understand that, Jerry, but the first we knew about paying this truck payment, the first I knew, I won't speak for everybody else. The first I knew about it was last Friday on Facebook.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Okay, why did you not read the budget back last October, November, when all these monies were put in there and we had our discussions about debts? Cause it's called debt service, and anybody knows when you do the budgets, the very first thing you have to do is service all the debt. So if it slid through the cracks on you, that's fine, I get that, but I don't wanna make it sound like that somebody's trying to pull a hootie doo here. You
Well, I
see what
guess
I'm saying? The
my
bottom line is
question,
that.
my question would be kind of the same.
In the debt service.
Yes, they were.
We
They were.
funded debt services 100%.
If it wasn't put in there, then that's not on me. You know what I'm saying? That's on you guys. And I told you at budget time that we had these payments. I told you we had them. I've got several witnesses even before, after the first of the year, that heard me. And also I know the auditor's office has been aggravating the crap out of you guys
So
to
let me
pay the
ask,
bill.
let me ask the same or similar question you just
Okay.
did. When did you get the budget? You got it in November?
No, I didn't.
December?
I gave you what I submitted. That's what I
But when
gave
did
you,
you
and
get
that
your
has all my
final?
debt service, including,
Yeah, but when did you
including
get
the
your,
jail bill.
your approved budget? The
Not
actual
until
budget?
after the first of the year.
Okay,
So I
So,
had no idea what was
you
going
didn't
on.
come to the January meeting on that
Didn't
one.
have to, it was already
In
paid.
February, you came here and asked to buy 3 more vehicles with a different fund, but we didn't talk about this, and we knew the payment was due, and you're saying you knew that you didn't have the money at that time.
Absolutely.
Then in March,
You knew it too.
you didn't come and ask for it, so why wouldn't you ask for it? That seems
I
like
did
it puts
ask
the
for
county
it.
in a
I
bad
said you,
position.
at least a minimum of 3 times I asked for this payment before it was due. At least a minimum of 3
How?
times.
Here?
And yeah, absolutely.
In a
In budget
meeting?
hearings, we had it, and in regular, and no, not in a regular meeting, because it's already been paid for. It's supposed to be in the budget. That's what I'm trying to, I've proven my point that I asked for this money. Instead of you guys just standing up and saying, okay, we made a mistake and let's get this
Well,
over
we
with and
did.
pay it.
We don't.
Yes, you did.
No. Okay, we're gonna
Yes, you
have to
did.
agree to disagree. Either way,
Well, I'm just telling
those
you.
are the 4 options we got, or few options we got. I've lost track of
And here's
them.
the thing about
But
it too is-
how do you guys wanna vote? You want to try to set a meeting for later this week? Or do you want to make a motion to move on something tonight?
I'm not gonna vote to transfer $400,000 to make a $110,000 payment. I really like the thought of bringing the loan back home. Russ has always been good to us as far as the county.
Sure.
Now, I just believe the loan needs to be brought back home.
Or do we just take X amount of dollars, pay this payment, and then figure out what to do moving forward? I guess that would be an option as well that I didn't cover.
Well,
Sir?
explain the loan one more time to Eric.
So,
I'm too dense, man, you're gonna go through the whole thing again, I guess.
Okay, no worries. The option would be, we would take the same amount of money, the $111,000, and purchase a CD with it that would grow interest and gain money for the county. Then doing that opens the ability to get a loan from the same entity in that amount of money at 3% interest, which is kind of unheard of right now. That ability would then pay those trucks off, and we could use that payment to budget years moving forward, excuse me, for in the sheriff's office, either general fund, lit, public, however the board would choose, moving forward from here on. So at one point, you're growing money in a CD that you're getting interest off of for a 2-year CD, while you're paying a payment essentially in a budget moving forward at 3% interest versus the 8.5% that it's at now.
What about if you have to end it early? What if there's an emergency comes up and you have to pull the money out of the CD? Is there a penalty for that?
Yeah, there is.
Out of the CD, there is, okay, there is.
So that's what I'm saying. That's your guys' decision.
I believe Russ has went way above and beyond to try to, help us with this problem. And, it is a problem. We all know we've got to pay the pay. There's no doubt about that. But I don't wanna take a bunch of money that we have laid back now for these emergencies and tie it all up, to pay. I'd like to see us paid out and pay the 4 more payments, or 5, whatever it is, just like it is now. I think we just need to pay, we need to get Ford credit out of the picture and bring it back local. That's my opinion.
I move that we take the loan out.
Okay, and with that, we'll have to meet with the commissioners, which I talked to them today, they're on board with it. But I just, before I accept your motion, I want you to know that it would be the next step. We would meet with them, they would actually go with us to the bank, we'd organize all that, get that taken care of. But with that, Collins would make a motion to move forward with the loan
And I'd
for a
say,
local bank. Jonathan White with the second. Any other questions, comments, anybody?
I said it, just as long as it gets paid, it's all that matters to me.
So, all in favor of that? Aye. So, all opposed? 1, Eric Gillespie, 4, yes. Alright, so I will schedule a meeting with them in the next day or so and get that worked out, and then we'll get it taken care of.
Okay, so whenever Ford calls, I'm gonna tell
I'll
him we've
talk to
got
him
the
tomorrow.
money.
I'll talk to him tomorrow, he's calling me back tomorrow, so I'll take care of that.
Okay, all right, so now explain this to me here. The monies will be had, we can tell Ford we do not have to worry about them coming getting the trucks, correct?
I told him
You are
that
gonna
today.
do that.
I told him that today.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
One more thing,
Yes.
I was checking, we didn't get your, commissary report from December.
Yeah, you did.
Well, can you send it again, please? 'Cause
Yeah, we
didn't
gave
have
it to the Jennifer now. Yeah, you got it.
Well, we never got it, can we get that? Cause somebody asked me today and I don't have it, so, alright, fair enough, thank you.
Okay.
Next up would be Russ Comer on the Visitors Commission.
Have to renumber that.
Can I have my board slip up with me, please?
Sure.
That's big, go ahead.
You need to meet us.
Yeah. Do you want me to read this or you just wanna talk?
I can just talk.
Oh, no, not you.
Are
He
you
said
ready?
that- I'm ready.
Okay. We have, as everybody knows, money allotted to us by motel tax.
Right.
We, as the last report I saw, we have about $488,000. You all put a limit on us of about 100,000, I understand that. We have spent a lot of time correcting things. We have looked at every line item. We have cut donuts. We have cut meals. We are looking at cutting billboards and everything. So I'm asking for some additional funds for you, or to release that hold on all accounts. Because we're doing everything we have. And as a result, I'm willing to give you a monthly report
Okay.
of what we give and
That's all
what's
we've
remaining.
ever asked for.
I know that. And with that said, there's the first report.
All right.
The left-hand side will tell you what we've done with the 100,000 line item, and I've got $7,417.27 left, so I'm out of commission, basically.
Sure.
We've got people waiting on money right now that I can't find. The other side, the right-hand side, is what we have funded in '23 that we haven't funded yet in '24. Now, will these people come back to me? I don't know.
Sure.
But I've gotta have some basis to generate with. We are looking for a new executive director. The old one is gone. And the commissioners, that's their job. And I think they've talked to you all about that, the way I understand.
I talked to him today about it a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for me, what we're doing, where we're going?
Yeah, I know.
Welcome aboard.
I don't like this job at all.
I can tell by the smile.
So let me,
I would step away in a heartbeat if somebody wants it.
hey, I'll read this ordinance real quick and then, I gotta explain one thing and then we can move if we so motion. So this in front of us would be ordinance 2024-28, and it is the request from the council for the Visitors Commission to move some of their innkeeper's tax in the amount of $100,000 to them so they can meet their requirements. Before anybody makes a motion, I know one thing you had said was just release it all. Ultimately, we're bound by the 100,000 now.
Correct.
If that's a consensus of the council that we would want to release all those funds to you, then we would just need them to re-advertise and go through this process one more time for that. But tonight, $100,000 is what they're requesting. We can go much like a budget up to 100,000. So just so everybody understands that.
How long is that gonna keep you afloat?
I'm hoping, answer your question, I don't know, because we're kind of maneuvering directions. We've done all these things and we're questioning now, is that really good for Scott County? Or do we do some bigger things and make it better for Scott County? That's the board's decision, not mine.
Would this keep your heads afloat till next month's meeting? So
Oh,
we
yeah,
can look at
yeah,
one or the other?
we're in very good shape for that.
So we don't need to call an extra
Oh,
meeting or anything like that?
no.
One thing I would tell you is these copy machine costs. Get with, Andrew Campbell when you can.
Those are where we printed brochures for the Kiwanis and everything else.
Okay.
We cut that out too.
Oh, well, never mind. Scratch that out.
I would be willing to go ahead and make a motion to give them the $100,000, cause I've been following this one pretty close.
Okay.
And we've got to keep them afloat.
So, motion on the floor from Johnny White to approve the $100,000 requested on ordinance 2024-28. John Collins has a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? 5-0. We'll get
And
you
you'll
taken care
set
of
up
there.
next time?
If you want to go ahead and
that's
do
from the
I really do,
rest of
yes.
that, I'd go ahead and get it.
Because I'm just gonna pester you guys to death. That's all I'm gonna do.
Well, they've always had control of all their money until we couldn't get this any longer.
We have control of the money.
Okay, so. And just so everybody's clear, this is an innkeeper's tax that comes from every hotel motel in the county. And it is held by the county since now the Visitors Commission is a division of the county, or it always has been. It's just been brought back into the coffers of the county like it should have been at the advice of State Board of Accounts.
It should have been there to begin with.
Correct. So just to be straight, it's a non-reverting fund that we hold and give it back to them. So the $100,000 that's been approved tonight to give to them is money that is taken from tax for them specifically. So it's not coming out of general or lit or anything else we've talked about tonight. It's simply for better, it's kind of like us funding Nick's ambulance service.
Something I want
with that.
everybody to understand, it's not right for us to have a lot of money back there.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah,
It's there to spend.
it's there to spend, to bring people in, and hopefully they spend more money and help everyone in the county is the theory behind it.
That's our job.
So,
Well, it's encouraging to me to see you guys taking this over and being interested in it and presenting what you presented. and I think you'll do fine, and
I promised you.
Would you like to,
That's great.
introduce your board?
Okay, introduce yourselves, guys.
Joe Gibson.
He's my treasurer,
Brandy Reno.
my vice president.
All righty. Well, we appreciate it and appreciate you guys being here, and we'll have some discussion, and then I'll let you know if we can get that set up for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Missy.
Well, we did not have an ordinance for her, so she's getting the ordinance, but what was?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, how are you guys?
Good.
Good. Okay, so I went before the council, it was, and the commissioners. So it was advertised, Jennifer did advertise that, so when I went to them on April the 3rd, I think, they did sign the ordinance, so just to give you guys another spiel, that ordinance is created to charge like mortgage companies and title companies that call, email me all the time, want tax data files. So we were just gonna charge them $50. I know a lot of other counties charge $200. I don't wanna make a killing, it's just a little bit of time. It takes like 15 to 25 minutes to run that and send that to them. So I just need you guys to create the line item, and it would be listed as Treasurer Technology Fund, and you guys would be able to tell me what I could spend that on and what I can't.
Sounds good.
Jen, do we have ordinance on this one?
I do, I've got it.
For the line item creation, we would need one for that, right?
I don't know if I'm gonna that or not, hang on.
No problem.
So we just need to create a line item?
She might be printing that now.
Yeah, so they've accepted the ordinance and the commissioners to create the ordinance. Our job would be to create the line to put those funds in that we can divvy out later on. So the ordinance is signed by them and it's good to go. I think they're actually checking on, because
okay.
I believe we need an ordinance for us to create a line, is
Okay.
all we're doing.
Okay.
So give me 1 second on that and we'll hear the printer firing up, so that's a good news. Everything else going all right?
Yep, staying busy.
Yeah.
Monday was really busy. Today not so much, but Monday was really busy. Mondays and Fridays usually are.
Is that, software you guys have, is it working better?
Yeah.
Communicating
Yes.
between the two?
Absolutely,
Awesome.
yes.
We're catching a lot of,
Mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
yeah, it's working good
In
though.
our benefit?
Yes, I think it's gonna clear everything
Here's the
up.
ordinance, it's
We're
gonna,
all human, we all make mistakes, but
The
at some point we
ordinance-
find them and fix them.
is to create a non-reverting discretionary fund, meaning any fees that she takes in from this new fee will go into the fund. It'll stay in the fund, it won't revert to the general, and she would use it for her expenses in her office.
Yeah,
Did you guys hear that? It would be a non-reverting fund.
Just explain.
Money will go in and then it would stay there, it wouldn't revert back to the general fund where she's funded out of. And then it would be discretionary funds that she could use for tech type things, since it's a tech fund. So with that, it would be ordinance number 2024-29, and that's an ordinance for a fund and line creation, which would be the treasurer tech fund would be that, and the number would be to be determined. So I would entertain a motion to accept the ordinance.
Make a motion to accept the ordinance.
Jonathan White with a motion to accept. John Collins with the second on that. Open any questions, comments, concerns regarding, all in favor? 5-0.
all right, thank you guys.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Appreciate it.
EMS, Nicole. How are you, sir?
Hello,
On their tree?
I did. I minimized the tree though. It's all condensed.
I want to say something before you start,
Yes, sir.
whenever you're ready. Just short.
Thank you, thank you.
If you want one. Sir.
Correct me when I stumbled through this. I was called by a lady today that wanted me to pass along to the council and EMS for providing help to seniors and people to get their bills put together in the boxes and different things like that. And you got that grant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we approved that grant?
Yes, sir.
And so that was heartwarming to me to hear that. and hearing a positive thing that we have done.
Yes, sir.
And so I want to throw it out to everybody and congratulate you along with us. I never thought twice about it, you know, but, you know, I got a call on it and it was, good.
A year ago, if you'd asked me what I thought about it, I would have been indifferent. Now we see about 22 people a week. You know, it's grant funded because we as the service can't charge for it, but it's one of those things that it's being proactive instead of reactive, and usually 99% of the time in our field we're being reactive to something, so it's nice to finally be proactive with something and try to do something different. So it's, like I said, for the last couple months we've been seeing anywhere from 18 to 22 people a week, and we're still gaining a couple every here and there, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Eric. All right, you wanna take off on the?
Yes, sir. Financials are up top. March we finished at 187,409. Training currently sits at 11,230 for the year. Paramedics at 33,652 for the year. Year-to-date income is $680,234, and expenditures for the year, not including payroll, are on your back sheet. Tote right now, as of the report that I ran, could be slightly off just because stuff moves, but my cash ledger balance is $840,867.95.
Congratulations.
Run volume is at 454 for March, and the breakdown is there. And then, as always, the back page on your stuff, I know last year every quarter I kind of gave you a breakdown of my expenditures and where money's going and what I've got left, and that is just it there if you ever have any questions on where I'm spending money. The only issue that I have is if you see in 1170, it's over expended by $5,339, and that's the workman's comp that I can't control. That's the umbrella thing, so we'll have to address that at some point, or I can see if I got some money left over towards the end of the year to transfer over to it, but I did want to make you aware of that. We budgeted the increase, and the increase was more than was budgeted, so that's partially on me, so I apologize for that, but that is the overage there. I mean, it's just, I could have budgeted more, I guess.
We like it when you transfer your money.
Well, that is out of lit, so that's not my money, but that is in there, so. But anyway, you'll see the remaining balances and what's been expended so far, if there's any questions within that. Any questions on the financials? Okay. First thing, I know we talked about it before, and I guess this is just going to emphasize, the auditor's office went and looked back. We think we found it, we want to make sure, so we're just going to bring it up again.
We've got the actual, I got an ordinance for it, so.
Okay, is just so right now, when my paramedic program runs, it goes into 1151. I would like to make a separate fund to deposit paramedic program money into. We talked about this last year, so it can self-fund like 1151 does. I can do a budget out of that fund. I will say, since we started this year's, out of 1170, it's a 10-month program. It started today, actually. So we'll have to use a few thousand out of 1170 next year to fund it, because the funding has to be the same for the COAMP and KHEP for the cohort. But then when we start one in 26, I'd like to have it like 1170, where I say, hey, I would like to use my or EMS's money for this. It's no money from anywhere else. So that's all I want to do. Is I'd like to create a fund, and then we'll transfer the line items, or repopulate the line items within that fund for the next cohort that we start mid to late 25, just to say, this is the account that we use it out of, this is the money that's in there, this is the money that we'll put in there, and it just worked like 1151 does, where we bring in, we spend out, we bring in and we spend out. So that way I don't have to bother you for lift or more 1151 or anything like that. So that's my only ask on that front.
And with that, we would have an ordinance number 2024-30, and we would be asking to create a fund and line item, much like what we did for the treasurer's office, where we would create a new non-reverting discretionary fund and a new line in the budget for the Scott County EMS. And it would be created under fund number to be determined, but it would work much the same way. The money coming in from paramedic students paid into it would sit in that fund, and then he could use it as needed for paramedic items.
Just still go through the budget process during the year. I'd say I still need this much for, contracts and this much for uniforms, but it would be.
That's what you were talking about during the budget.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And
So
I'd just like to
finally getting around to it.
I'd like to get that self-sufficient. So it's just a revolving in and out with it, so I can leave you guys alone on the 1170 front on that.
So with that, I would entertain a motion to accept ordinance 2024-30, the fund and line creation. Eric Gillespie makes the motion to accept the ordinance. Jonathan White with a second. Any other questions, concerns, comments? No, all in favor? 5-0 on that.
Thank you. So the plan will be moving forward as we deposit this classes into it to build it. And then when we start the 2025 cohort, mid to late 2025, that's what, when I do budget next year, is I will plan out of that, well, that fund for the next cohort, because I'll have to have 2 budgets for the paramedic, one for the current one we're in and one for the continued one. So I appreciate it.
How long do they run?
This is, normally they run 16 months. This one we're doing is 10 months. It's a condensed class. We've combined it to be 2 days a week. So we shorten the time frame on it. So this is the first time we're doing it as an accelerated program. So we'll see how it goes. And that'll kind of
Tell you whether to do
tell me how we're gonna do the next one.
Fair enough.
So we'll see. But I will say we do have a full class. We had 23 applicants. We capped out at 15 like we do. So we still have quite a bit of interest in it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip to the third one just because it probably will be a less lengthy discussion. Currently, I have that 9185 fund, which is our grant. I would like to create a couple line items in there to expend money on through the rest of this year and at the end of the year. Again, it's grant money that we're getting from being paid for this grant and then reimbursed for the grant, so it's 2 different things, but the same fund. And I'd like to add an equipment, a training and seminars, and a vehicle purchase line within that
Is that
fund.
the grant that has to do with the
Community
community
paramedicine.
paramedicine?
Correct.
And that vehicle purchase is actually that.
Us buying the vehicle back from them, correct.
So for anybody that doesn't know, that community paramedicine program that we entered into.
We don't own the
Be a
vehicle right
second
now.
year. They own that vehicle, but at the end of that, he has the option to be able to purchase that vehicle at a much better rate than what you could go buy one. And it's a Dodge Durango, much like what his other fleet is. So that's what that vehicle purchase line would be used for, would be at the end of that grant. We would use that grant's money to buy the vehicle from them.
So that's what that would be.
So-
But I just would ask to create an equipment line, just to add some stuff.
She said we did not, Deandra said she did not think we needed a line creation for that.
We don't have to have an ordinance for the line creations, he can, but since it's a
Just,
grant.
you just want a motion.
Yeah.
It's a motion, okay.
I'd make a motion to let him.
So Jonathan White makes a motion to create 3 line items within the 9185 budget or grant. 1 for equipment, 1 for vehicle purchase, and 1 for training and seminars. John Collins offers a second on that. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All in favor? 5-0 on that.
And I will say, that one we get reimbursed monthly, so when we get that money back, we just kind of tell the auditor's office, hey, I need this amount here and this amount there, because the cost changes every month. 2 other things are just conversations, no decisions being made, none of that. Just want to pick your brain before I proceed with anything else. The first one will be everybody's favorite, is looking forward to an ambulance purchase for 2025. I feel confident in sitting here asking if you guys would be okay with me carrying another loan out of 1151's budget, looking to purchase one this year to the delivery of 2025. The one that we purchased in April or May of last year, we won't receive until October of this year. We're doing the same thing where, that's the one that we got from redevelopment, and we paid for it last year, and we're still not gonna get it for another 5 or 6 months.
Basically a year and a half away.
We have the option to get a few in March or April timeframe that are demos, but other than that, we're looking at 18 to 24 month delivery, yes, sir. I would like to personally pursue the March delivery ones if they're still available. That way I don't have to wait till 26 or 27 for delivery. We've replaced 2 motors, as some of you know, and we're trying to stretch our fleet. Like I said, I knew we'd have to buy a few, and then after that, if we do get to purchase this, that'll allow me to then sell, again, one of my ambulances. Trade-in is not really a viable option for us because we're gonna get literally pennies on the dollar. We're looking at $8,000 to $10,000 reimbursement for a trade-in. I talked to one of the reps, he actually came by last week, I think. He said we could probably get somewhere, if we sold it at 100,000 miles, this and that, we could probably get 35 to 40,000 out of it. So that would be nice to then put forward towards that loan or whatever we need to do.
Another thing to touch on would be the power load. You won't need that.
Yeah, we don't have to purchase the power loads anymore. We don't have to purchase the stretchers anymore because all of the trucks have been outfitted. So now if we, let's say we sell unit A, we buy unit B, we can take the stuff out of there. We'll have to pay for the install, but we're talking about $1,000 or $2 instead of $40,000 for the equipment. So where we've been buying the truck that I've currently got a loan on and the one that Tiff bought, we had to purchase the power load, purchase all of that stuff in there. We won't have those expenditures anymore. So that'll cut about 50 to 60,000 out of the equation. So I just want to know, I know, you know, stuff can change and the wind can blow a different direction. However, I don't want to pursue one direction and then come to you guys and be like, absolutely not, and then be stuck in the water.
Well, I think the loan option has worked really well because it's allowed you to
Budget.
get to where all of the county wants to be, is the self-sustaining idea where you can budget that payment and you're paying it. You've made everyone. We haven't had to help at all with that. So I think I would be fine with that.
This year I was budgeted for 125,000 in vehicle purchase, or I think that's what mine is, vehicle purchase. I don't know if it's debt service on mine. I don't think I have a debt service. I think it's vehicle purchase or payment, something like that. There was 125 in there. It would probably push me to about the 160 mark a year. So we're talking about $35,000 more, which with my income and stuff right now, I don't think an additional, if like worst case scenario, everything else stays the same, adding an additional 35,000 isn't gonna break me as far as.
Your goal is basically rotating one out every 5 years, is that?
Every 4 to 5 years, like we'll get probably 4 on the longer end, honestly. Some of them with these diesel, like when I came here, the issue that we've had have been those 7.3s that we've replaced both with less than 100,000 miles. We had one with 60 something, one with 80 something. I'm more interested, you know, now after seeing those failures and a couple other things, pursuing the diesel. Not only does it extend us from a 560 to a 5100, which helps us on the warranty side of things. You know, I will say maintenance is a little bit more, but we seem to be getting some better longevity out of it, so we can probably stretch that to the 4-year mark. I feel confident, I don't want to say for sure, but I feel confident right here that after if we are able to get another loan on this one, I can start that remount process that we were talking about, because not only will I have the number of trucks that I need that I can forfeit to get rid of one for 6 or 7 months to refit, that will be in a good spot with mileage now with the one that we're gonna get later this year. And if we were able to obtain one for March, that gives me a little bit of wiggle room on mileage to, you know, they're not stacked on top of each other, but they're close enough that I don't have, you know, a lot of those. But I will say, you know, currently right now, I've got 3 apparatus with over 115,000 miles. I'll say 100,000 miles. I know 2 over 115,000, one over 100, one of them at 90 something and another one at 50 something. So, I mean, we do rack up the miles on them fairly quick, and that's our main concern, is the mileage on the chassis more than the equity of the box.
How many loans do you have?
One.
You have one loan?
Yes, sir.
I see. So is your plan, or you foresee that you'll have more loans as you go, or are you just gonna, or is that a plan? I mean,
I feel like carrying 2 loans and getting a 3rd one the final year, and then carrying 2 loans and getting the 3rd one the final year is probably something we'll be able to do. Right now, I've got it set up where we pay twice a year, so I've got, you know, 40,000 due one in March and 40,000 whatever for that, whatever 30, whatever it is. But I feel confident that if I do, you know, 1 loan payment in March, 1 in July, 1 in August, 1 in, like, we can keep, as long as they're not piled on top of each other at the beginning of the year, I feel confident we can carry 2, and then that way, you know, if I do a loan, the next year do a loan, the 4th year when that one expires, we can get another one to start the process again, whether it be a remount or a purchase. But I think to do what we need to do, we'll be carrying my opinion, which can differ, I feel like us carrying 2 loans at any given time would probably be where we would be at.
Okay.
Is what we're gonna have to do.
And currently, the county has 3 total loans is all we have. We've paid all the rest of them off, so we hope.
And I
3
know
loans.
when we do get loans, we don't have to, where our bank account is like, I don't know, where our revolving account is at, they see that income and we don't have to leverage any money getting loans from them. I think we have like a $10 million cap on loans with where we're at without leveraging anything. So I haven't priced anything. I plan on going to FDIC this Friday, to start shopping and making some calls, but I didn't want to put the cart before the horse, so I don't have any numbers to tell you what they're gonna cost. I've got ballpark figures. They said about a 6% increase if I go with the same vendor over the last one, but nothing solid.
I'd be all right with you moving forward.
But I just wanna make sure that, you know, if I do find something, I can go to the commissioners, they would agree to it, and I can come to you guys, and we would just, it wouldn't be the shell shock of, what are we doing? That we can just have this conversation of plan moving forward.
Will you ever come to us if we don't have to buy you an ambulance?
I'm paying for it right now.
I've been on this board for 2 years, we've already bought you 2.
Nope. I bought myself one.
I know we did, but I'm still on that.
We're gonna be asking for an ambulance every year. I mean, that's
Just as
just,
long as we're set.
Yep.
Okay.
is, but that's what I was explaining to him.
You're
We're gonna,
maintaining 5 right
Yeah.
now, aren't you?
5 plus the old one, which like I said, you know,
So if you're able to rotate one out every 5th year, that's gonna be 1 truck a year.
yeah, and that's the thing is we're gonna be looking at one sitting out back as the reserve truck, and then that reserve truck will constantly shift depending on mileage. So I just wanted to have that discussion.
Yeah, we all would be good with that.
Like I said, as far as response vehicle wise, after this year, we'll be fine on that. We won't have to purchase, I won't say won't, shouldn't have to purchase one of those for 4 or 5 years. So like I said, carrying that extra 35,000 is all that it would be.
If you make the wrong move, you just work yourself out of a job.
That's fine.
All right.
As long as you're comfortable.
The last one is, we can't make any decision tonight, but I don't know if any of you, excuse me, are privy to the conversation that I was gonna be coming for the building, but if there was, I was just here to answer any questions. If not, we can discuss it next month. Or are we not
The
aware?
reason why we can't make a decision is, was it brought forward in time for the advertisement, so it'll be for the next year.
So,
Yeah, there was no fault, it was just a timing.
Yeah.
if you guys don't know, or whoever may be watching that doesn't, out behind EMS, he currently has 2 Connex boxes and a electric service with an extension cord to plug the truck in. They wanna move to, I say the commissioners are on board with this, and EMS, under Nick's direction, would like to move to replacing those Connex boxes with a carport style building. It would have a roof and
No sides.
no sides, but
Will it be where the Connex boxes are?
yeah,
Yes, sir.
but it would have a concrete floor, and it would actually have an electric service to where the trucks would be plugged in. They would prevent sun damage, obviously having snow and ice on it, and
My main thing is we've replaced a few windshields
Windshields.
because of hail, and
That's
just,
what I mean. I figured
yeah.
you
Well,
had
like
to blow in it.
If you got your spare truck parked out there and it comes a nice big snow,
Yeah.
and then you need all the trucks out on the interstate like
You're-
that one day.
Yeah, you're waiting at 20-30
problem.
minutes for it to,
If I'm in a wreck out there, I'd much rather you go climb the truck and come after me than have to dig it out of the snow.
so.
I think we're in the tune of $50,000.
I think it was appropriated up to
That's right.
51,000 or 52,000.
Somewhere
just
in the neighborhood of 50.
as concrete
and
building and electric, so the
One
electric's
ambulance
already
is what?
there,
400.
How big of a building?
300.
So one ambulance is 300 grand that we're
I think it is
set outside.
it's 30 feet deep by, I think, 48 feet wide, but where I have storage in those Connex boxes, there is a 10 by 10,
Garage. space,
garage
maybe.
shed lean-to enclosed all the way with a garage door to put all the stuff that we have in those Connex boxes in there. So that is the only encapsulated piece. The rest of it is an open pole barn style with a roof.
Have you had any luck getting rid of the trash you were trying to get rid of?
Some of it, most of it, no. You know, a lot of it I think is just gonna ending up in trash or,
Gonna have to get a dumpster.
we fill ours quite frequently. I think there's some conversations that I feel like I wanna have regarding, a couple vehicles I have before I get rid of them. So before I make those moves on those, I'd rather have those conversations before, I get rid of something somewhere else in the county could use. So that's the only decisions that haven't been
So
made yet.
the conversation will be had on,
March 9th, May 9th,
May 14th, Tuesday, May 14th. It would be advertised for, and we'd be able to talk about it more, making a decision, but I appreciate you coming to us and at least giving us a heads up to give us an opportunity to, you know, mull it over and make sure everybody's good with that. I think it's, I mean, if you're putting a $300,000 asset in a $50,000 building, that's a pretty good move for about anybody.
$300,000 assets.
I don't care if it's $5,000 ambulances, I like the thought of the snow, you know, being able to get that truck
So
on.
I just
Well,
wanted to see if there's any
because it's
questions.
April. I don't like to think of snow because it's April, but I appreciate it, Nick. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Next up, EMA, Jeremy.
I'm not here to ask for anything.
Well, good.
I want to make you aware of something
We was gonna give
and
you
see
everything
what you
asked
think.
for tonight.
Anyway,
So, yes. So, you guys approved the purchase of new phone system at 911 before I was here. That was the previous director. We made the agreement was going to be signed by the commissioners, and we noticed that there was an additional contract. And it was for a maintenance contract that's in here. It really doesn't say that it's gonna be a maintenance contract and all that stuff, but it's an additional $21,000 a year previous. It's all included in the price and everything, it's all covered. But in the next coming 4 years, there will be a $21,000 charge. That can be paid from my 911 funds. So, we're well with the current budget that you had this year. I've got plenty, I will have plenty of money coming in from the 911 board to cover that. But I didn't want to move forward with it. I didn't feel comfortable, commissioners didn't feel comfortable about making you guys aware of that and letting you know.
Appreciate that very
Well,
much.
Jeff made us aware of that during the
Okay,
budget, I
gotcha.
remember the discussion.
I
Right.
wasn't aware and they weren't aware, so we just wanted to cover all our bases. It is,
Well, that covers,
I remember that.
does that cover
discussion.
3 or 4 lines?
four lines.
That covers 4 lines over there with the maintenance contract, and it takes care of, which is, right now, there's 3 positions in the 911 center that are staffed
Most of
the time, 24 hours around the clock. The request, if you remember at budget time, was to make sure we had the 4th, because when there's major events like tornado, fire, you know, something like that,
Even-
he can call someone in, have someone put them on that 4th to make admin calls or whatever, and
Yeah.
that,
Or set them there with the phone and a radio for a specific frequency. Say,
and that would also
"You're handling
give
this only."
opportunity for future growth whenever the time comes that we have to add
And I did
a
put in,
4th person.
to make you guys aware, I did put in the ready grant, they had me put some things together, and I did put in the money to actually do a complete, almost complete refresh over there and add a 4th position.
It definitely needs.
So we definitely could use the 4th position.
Sure.
Right now, it's working with the same desks and everything. I say that, since 2000 when it was created. The desks have an available up and down where you can raise your, keyboard to stand and things like that. They don't work. It's not, you know, that's not anything, but I just wanted to let you know the state of that. So that's why we're trying to get some money from these grants to upgrade some of those things.
Are we ever gonna get the ones from Clark County?
I am still waiting. I talked to them last month, in February. Well, I say last month. It was the end of February, 1st of March. And they were still waiting for everything to get in there cleaned out. They would take possession of all of their electronics out of there before they let us go in there and do that. So, I tell you, sitting at those, working at those, it's much better and easier for the dispatchers, but I'd also rather have these, new ones come in. Hopefully we can get
Sure.
these new ones instead of, because moving those is, we'll need some help with your rollback and some things like
I'll
that,
be there.
so.
Any of us will help you at any time.
And some strong backs, cause those are pretty heavy and we'll have to take some apart but
Yeah.
they're good quality. If we can get them for free, then for free, but I didn't wanna move forward until I was sure you guys knew about that.
Just make sure whenever, I know we're a little ways out on budgets, but, try to itemize those maintenance contracts. We can group them into one group,
Yeah.
but if they're itemized
So
out,
that you
then we
can see
can
what they
keep
are.
track of what they are and
Definitely.
make sure that we're on top of them. So,
Definitely, so.
sound good to you? Anything else you need from that? Alrighty.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Have a good night. Kevin? You're up. No, I'm sorry. I looked over you, Jeff. I wanted to save the best for last, but yeah, you can come on up here, I guess.
I just need to speak to you about the roofing project at the fire station. It's a 55-year-old roof on the majority of the building, so it's done its job a couple of times, and it's leaking pretty seriously. It has been for a few years. We talked to Royalty Roofing, and I've got a quote and a scope of work for $38,786 to get it repaired, and that'll be a 15-year warranty. So they're gonna, I think we've got 4 different roof lines there, and that's part of the problem. The building's been added to, subtracted from, over the years. They're gonna come in with some OSB and some metal and shore things up and kind of eliminate some of those odd roof lines, even things up before they do the work.
Gotcha. Where's this coming from, or is it a request that we have no?
Opioid,
Oh,
that's what it was from.
okay, it's approved by commissioners to you, okay.
Yes, opioid
Do we have
unrestricted.
any resolution or anything on it?
We have no resolution from the commissioners. I don't believe we have one from, and it's not been advertised either. Yeah,
Okay,
so it'll have to move to the main meeting.
Okay.
so it would have to move a couple weeks, May 14th, but,
All right.
we can, anybody have any questions while he's here? Or that way, maybe, I mean, you wouldn't even necessarily have to come back if you don't want to.
Not, other than, no bids, just one bid, or,
One's all I've got right now.
so is that, we're fine with that, or?
So, the commissioners have approved, from my understanding, and are sending a resolution our way to use the unrestricted opioid funds for their roof. So, the one bid was accepted by them for the scope of work, and then it's sent to us to approve that funding out of the unrestricted opioid.
Yeah, well, I mean, we harp about bids all the time, and, is this one of those things that we need to?
So the purchasing policy that we have sets it at $50,000, so if we think it's gonna be $50,000 or more, then we ask for 3 bids.
Okay.
That's statutory.
So we're gonna,
But is this, the opioid money, is that tied to federal funds that we have to, that have special rules like after or not?
Yeah, and Zach's checked into all of that and
Okay.
gotten some external counsel to double
Okay.
verify.
I mean, that's really on the commissioners to make sure the process
Correct.
bidding process is done properly.
All we gotta do is pay for it.
Seems to be a trend. But, if there's no other questions, we can entertain it in the May meeting and get you an
Okay.
answer.
Okay.
As soon as, we'll get their resolution and then we can put it to a vote. They're gonna advertise for you, so it'll
Alright.
be good to go on that.
Okay, all right, I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you being here.
All right, thank you.
When are they wanting to do that, Jeff?
Once as soon as I get the funding nailed down, I think they can start right away, so.
Would you just make sure that those are.
I'd get a hold of them.
One of those kind of.
Okay.
And let them know that you're looking at getting the funding next month.
All right,
That way you can maybe, if they're 6 weeks out, you
yeah,
can
good point.
Get on their schedule.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Jeff.
Alright.
Sorry I overlooked you.
That's all right.
I'd like to
Thank
say
you.
the fire department quit being.
You're up again, Kev.
Work check for that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You check me, I'll check you.
How are you, Kevin?
Doing good, thank you. I'm the same way with Jeremy. I really ain't coming here to ask for anything tonight, just open up a discussion on, the commissioners had talked to the Jefferson County Commissioners somewhere in some of their meetings, and, they kinda come up with, an idea and a solution on chip seal equipment about, sharing equipment interlocal agreement. So we a few of us met up there at Jefferson County, kind of went over what they had, kind of went over what they was wanting to do. So basically, I think the ins and outs of it, they're wanting to split the cost of some of the equipment, and then, you know, write the agreement that we both use it, which I believe will work good. But one thing we was waiting on, or I was waiting on, for how we do our budgets and what we're looking at to kind of change the way we're looking at everything. So we got 50% of the county done right now, and
Those are greens or?
yeah, those are all the small structures that we've had inspected and engineered.
Gotcha.
So you can kind of see it, you kind of see at the top where we're sitting with that 50%. You know, it goes from severe deterioration all the way to, you know, no noticeable deterioration. If you go to the next slide there.
Come on, Vanna.
So, you know, they inspect anything that's under 20 feet.
Right.
Because that's all on the local's responsibility to keep up with these. So we went all the way down to 4 feet.
We're talking 20 feet width.
Yes.
Not 20 feet length
No,
or both?
20 feet length.
Okay, got it. I'm with you.
Well, actually, I guess 19 and under.
Yeah, okay.
So like this right here is a small structure, so that's up to the local to
cover
inspect it. You know, talked to Andrew this morning, we looked at that, maybe around $175,000. Flip to the next one.
Where's that bridge at, Kevin?
That one there is on Salem Road, I do believe, off the top of my head. This just kind of shows what I'm looking at, what comes with these when they get inspected, their ratings, the appraisal ratings, what we're looking at. And it goes all the way down to this 4-foot structure, you know, there's, you know, maybe a $20,000 replacement all in. So those 11 severe structures right there go from that kind down to that.
Yeah.
So flip to the next one.
Of course, the price of them culverts are.
They're way up.
astronomical anymore.
Did you ever do any of them liners?
I have previous jobs. I don't think it'd ever work out for the county because they're so expensive.
Anything
We could
over
almost
30.
dig a road up. Now, if you're going under 65 or US 31, it probably makes
Anything
sense.
over 36, it wouldn't.
It
be
gets
worth
high quick.
We do under 36 where I work, but not over.
I like them, but, so we're looking for just what I'm looking at, from 24 to 28, 11 structures that, by the engineers, say we probably need to get replaced. That's 50% of the county done so far.
Done and
Inspected, 4 foot to the 20 feet.
Or 19.
The estimated replacement cost on those was around 650,000. That's give or take a little bit, I just average the numbers of those 11. So, you know, what we're looking at to use really CCMG dollars to stretch in other places besides just asphalt. So, you know, to utilize the preservation to treat the roads, whether it be chip seal, crack seal, or liquid road. You know, it kind of goes right back to where we was trying to work with Jefferson County on getting some of this equipment. So we done Plymouth Road today. I think that's like 8,000 feet is what we done. It's roughly between $95,000 and $100,000 in material, just material.
What was that on?
Plymouth Road between Lovers Lane and Highway 30.
What kind of material you?
Asphalt,
Oh.
2-inch overlay.
So a mile's 5,280 feet, so just shy of 2 miles.
Yeah.
Mile and 3/4.
Mile all over.
Something like that.
But anyway, it's just saying that, you know, the cost, our budget for asphalt's $400,000 a year, so this kind of shows you you're not going too far with it. And that's including getting everything repaired and the patchwork that you need to do, that really is saying, all of it. Can you pull up the Cume Bridge one? Can we do that? It's on your email.
I think open your email out there. The biggest thing that.
Just look for my name.
The biggest thing, I guess,
Why don't you turn the screen off?
we would have to, you know, see all the lawyer jargon on how all that would work.
Yeah, I think all I was doing.
I'm sure everybody has some kind of question, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, I think
Don't open your email.
really all I was presenting to it was you know, this is the way we was thinking as far as how they're gonna work that out.
Right.
As long as we're asking for opinions, I'm gonna give mine. I think two counties going together to share equipment has got to be one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard in my life. You know, I need a lawnmower. John needs a lawnmower. There's a reason we don't buy a mower and share it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. But that's just one opinion out of 7.
The only, my initial thought process on that wasn't far from yours. So I went over there and they agreed what they had couldn't take the stress of another county. So their commissioners like, you know, if we buy newer stuff and get better stuff, maybe.
Have you ever worked partnership with anybody?
Well, with the state, we moved everything around district to district.
But that's different, like me.
You know, district to district.
I move my mower, I own multiple properties, and I move my mowers around. I don't have a mower for each property.
Really?
But it's not mine and John's mower.
And that would be where I would want to see how the lawyers would work all that out.
Yeah.
Cause ultimately somebody's gotta be responsible for maintenance and all this stuff.
Well,
There's nothing
and
they
some
can
of
work
it
out to make that a good
and I'm
idea.
not beating a dead horse here, but you
You'd have to
guys are
look at
gonna
it
build a
too,
building
true.
in-house.
Right.
Well, you've had to hire it done. And if you don't have any help to do.
Well, now
that-
wait.
I'm just.
Now there's a wait
okay.
on that.
All right, go ahead.
Because
Respond.
we will. We're gonna do all the concrete work. I am for you, by the way. Not getting paid for that, but I'll go out and do that for you. We're gonna wire the whole building. We're gonna plumb the whole building. I can't pull all my guys off the road, start a project, storm comes. I was afraid it was gonna blow over by the time we got it done. So that's why we hired a framing done, because I guarantee you my guys can't frame like those guys can. We ain't even gonna try. But the stuff that we can do when it's raining and utilize time when we can, that's what we'll do.
That makes sense.
So, in all fairness.
Makes sense.
Did y'all used to build buildings there when you worked for the state?
We built a few.
But either way, I mean,
And
I
that's
think-
my thing on the chip and seal is, are you gonna have the help to run the chip and seal? If you don't have the help to do.
I find it entertaining, John, that you don't think we can do that when we just run over 1,000 tons of asphalt today with the same crew. That I managed, that I made sure we got the asphalt close enough and got the guys to do it. So, you know, you're shaking your head, no, how many roads you chip seal?
Me? None. I don't
My
even like
point.
to ride on a chip seal road because I ride a motorcycle.
Well, then I would love the explanation of how, well, let's just move to the, how you're gonna fix everything and keep paving everything.
I don't know, but I don't know.
let's dig in what
Okay.
you got.
This is, and this really just kind of goes back to CCMG money, and it doesn't really matter what kind of preservation that you use.
Right.
Whatever you pull out of your,
Whatever method.
can you scroll down to the bottom, because it probably just, a lot of that's probably kind of confusing numbers, but. So, if we used CCMG funding for some of the bridges that we need to do over the next 2 years, I think, you know, we could possibly save $2,246,000. If
From your, or your.
we could add to the King
tax
Bridge.
roll. Okay, I got you.
By using the federal aid that we already received, by the time we get it through that, you know, our King Bridge could be looking around $4 million at the end of that time.
Right.
At the end of construction year 2030.
And this takes the one bridge that you already got the grant out of the equation too, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that's just the 20% that we're paying.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we can utilize the grant money for other things besides just paving roads, it's gonna open us that we could possibly have enough money to start doing capital projects and have no problem funding 2-3 federal aid jobs. So you can actually straighten curves up, get better roads, get better entrances. There's a line of things that the county could possibly get, but
Gotcha.
you gotta stretch the money somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, I can send this to you and we could kind of talk through it, but we originally went through and we looked, you know, what would it cost as far as using the CCMG money and where we needed to be. And, you know, we've never funded it out of that fund. So if we continue to fund it like we always have,
then we're not using that money out of that fund, and we'll get a capital enough
Eventually.
built up
Yeah.
to
So
fund
you
it.
you would still, even if you did, I just have a couple questions about the interlocal. So even if you did an interlocal with Jefferson, well, first of all, interlocals couldn't, by statute, can only be for 2 years. So what do you do after the 2 years? Those are all Zach probably issues that can be very, very determinative of, just to put it in your brain, being very determinative of, you know, who's gonna have it when, like, it's like a custody arrangement, right? When are we gonna need it? Who's gonna be responsible for repairs? How are those repairs gonna be paid? But, so the initial investment, rather than however much it was you asked, are you still gonna ask for that out of the APRA funds? Or the ARPA funds, whatever we're calling them this week?
They've always been ARPA. APRA is Access to Public
Okay.
Records Act.
ARPA.
I'm not 100%.
I've heard it called ARP, APR, AARP.
It's ARPA for the funds, it's
but- sorry, Kevin, go
APRA for
ahead.
the records.
So on our end, I think the commissioner's gonna ask out of our funds for what equipment they're gonna buy.
Okay,
That Scott County's gonna buy.
Yeah.
On Jefferson County end, I'm not sure what way
Where
they're
they
dealing
get
with it.
okay.
On another
And once
note, did you
again,
see that one that I sent them?
I did, and it ended up selling for like
That
$260.
wasn't bad.
I figured it was a $350,000 machine new, so
Yeah.
it's probably a pretty
I didn't
good
mean to cut
price.
you off, I
No,
just
you're fine.
jogged my memory.
Yeah, I looked it up. It actually probably was a good deal. I think, you know, I don't have Zach and want to, I don't know if it's, you know, this county's buying this equipment and this county's buying that, or if you're pulling their money and they're both buying it, and then when it separates, they just sell. I don't know how that works on the
Zach will
interlocal
do a good
agreement.
job negotiating. I just have concerns about when we get to year 2. I mean, you can have an automatic, I guess, renewal period. just
And he said
figure
they'd have to write it up,
specific-
if it was a terminate, you know, it would go a certain way.
One, if we
they
have
terminate it.
obligations for maintenance of a chip and seal machine, we need to make sure during budget time that that's appropriated also, so. There's just a lot of,
It's not, I mean, it's not
I mean, it's gonna be the same
happen
whether
overnight.
you buy it
No,
yourself or
but it
Jefferson
ain't.
County.
But there's some talking points
Yeah,
there that we
it's a
can all get
process, and
into.
this is just showing you
Yeah,
what our mindset's turning to, because our budget for small structures technically is $20,000 a district plus $10,000 for culverts, and a different line item is the way it was set up when I was there. So if you wanna add those all together, it's $70,000. You're not fixing all that, and for some reason, we're in the rotation that a lot of these structures seem to be in like 1930s, which I don't know, like the CCC, but some of this back in that era, or what some of this was, I don't know.
I wasn't here.
But it seemed me neither, but it seems like, and we don't have a lot of good dates, cause there wasn't a record.
Not much record on it.
But anyway, that's what we're looking at, and that's just to bring up the thought process of it, so.
It looks like you, or at least getting an idea and a plan together to
Yeah.
go after the small structures that we have to, you know, replace, and then,
Endless whether we go with the chip seal or we don't go with the chip seal, if we go with a different technique, all these need address, so this is good for it anyway.
What does it cost a mile chip seal if you hire it done?
Well, I'll be able to give you a perfect number on that,
Okay.
shortly, because we just got awarded $1,394,000 from CCMG this year. We're gonna do 5 small structures, and then we're gonna do 20 miles of chip seal under contract. So, I think my annual bid chip seal went from $3.25 a square yard down to $2.48 a square yard. Paving's probably around 10 right now for retail, somewhere in there.
Chip and seal last how long versus?
Well, I think there'll be a lot of variables on
You're
that.
gonna preserve.
Well,
relative
they're
chip
all,
seal.
I don't think that's kinda not really comparing apples to apples though, because,
It's a wear surface. It's definitely not a structural surface.
yeah.
Like Plymouth Road today that we paved, that was way past chip seal. It was hip dips, it was done. You know, Lover's Lane, we crack sealed, if we done that, it would already blow apart. I mean, you know, so they got their purposes.
Kinda like comparing cold patch to hot mix, it isn't even the same, cause you're putting just a layer on
if
to
you take-
preserve the
Yeah, but
integrity of
if
the
you
asphalt.
if you re-blacktop a road and it lasts 30 years.
Sorry.
I'm just throwing in 20 years, 10 years.
11 years is what the Asphalt Association will tell you, before severe tear
Well,
damage.
11 years. And chip and seal has to be done every other year.
No.
You know, that's why I was
But,
asking.
4 years?
It's recommended up to 6. I think it depends on the road, but
I wouldn't surprise me if a county road couldn't go up to 5 to 10 years. It just depends.
Well, why don't we once we get closer, why don't we schedule a meeting where we could just sit down and talk about all of it, put our questions out there, and boggle Zach's mind more, cause I'm sure he's gonna have a bunch to go through.
I'll tell you one thing to look at, and this is just what kind of amazes me on it, is, you know, like, say, next building, we worry about putting sealer on the parking lot. The health department, we put sealer on the parking lot, but our asphalt's worth $22 million in this county, and when I mentioned doing some kind of preservation on it, I look like I'm crazy. So, just think about that.
I think I mean, for me, you definitely have to do some form of preservation.
I agree.
And I, for one, don't know enough about chip seal, and I'm excited to see what you're gonna do this year so I can go look at it.
I think that would be a great opportunity to see.
But I also understand that a decision has to be made with this other money this year, so I'm not naive to that thought, but I do think it'll be a great opportunity for not only me, but whoever else in the community would see for themselves and drive on it and feel exactly what your plan is, because I know what a parking lot that we resealed looks like, feels like, drives like, but I don't know what a county road does. I know what a state road runs in pretty good, and that would be my only hiccup with it, is the difference. Like
Yeah, I would think, I mean, yeah, you can't sit there and say that you're gonna be able to chip a road and it's gonna be as smooth and as nice as what we just done Bowman.
Right. You guys did an excellent job on it, by the way. I went down it the other day.
Bowman Road was done by Dave O'Mara.
Was it O'Mara?
We done that at CCMG.
It's a good one.
I wish it had done it, it was a racetrack now.
Yeah.
It is an extreme racetrack.
Yeah. They laid it down.
They wedged it, they flattened it, they made it a super highway. It is a nice road.
Yeah, it is a nice road.
When
But
they
it'll
come
last
back
for
on
many years.
65, they all come by our place, and they're semi after semi.
I appreciate you coming.
Yeah,
Thank you, Kevin.
Appreciate it.
Next up on the agenda is that 2024 board appointments we have to revisit,
You really should not put those on.
because,
4 months.
do it.
I said you really shouldn't put them off anymore, because you're into 4 months of meetings.
We only have one that we had a question on, but we have to fill, and it was the River Hills appointment. I think that's all that's left, correct? So, on that one, you were on that, right?
Yeah,
Are you willing to retain on that?
that's fine.
Everybody good with that? Keeping Lindy in that place?
Yeah.
Cause it had to be, or it has to be, and that was the question why we tabled it, it has to be a council member. And River Hills is the organization that helps us with writing grants and obtaining grants. So it makes the most sense that a council member's on it, so that we
It
have
has
an input.
It has to be a council member.
No, that's what I said, but it makes sense, so.
And all the rest of the board appointments are done.
They're all set,
Okay,
yes.
that's what I thought, so.
So I'll make a motion to leave Lindy on it.
Yep.
So Jonathan White with a motion to leave Lindy Eubanks on the River Hills.
Eric, second.
Actually, I don't think she was on there last year, I think.
Okay, then he'll make a motion
To add her to
to
that.
add her, is what he said. My misunderstanding. And Eric with a second to add Lindy Eubanks to that. Got him, huh? All right. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed?
I'm not gonna vote for myself.
4 to 1 abstain. Omar on that.
I think you was. I think you're right. Alrighty. What all minutes do we have, Jim?
You've got the budget, all the budget minutes in front of you. They were not emailed out because they were just finished recently.
Do you guys wanna approve these? Take a minute, read over them? You wanna table them till next? It's a couple weeks out.
Let's table until next, I move we table it so we can take time to read.
Motion from John Collins to table the consideration
I'll
of
second
minutes
that.
to the May 14th with a second from White. Any comments, questions, concerns? All in favor? 5-0 on that.
I move we adjourn.
Oh, and you've got, no, wait a minute, you've got
Hold on
one more
one
thing, I got a thing in the paper yesterday, or in the mail yesterday. It's Baker Tilly, and basically they're changing their name a little bit, so you need to re-sign your contract on that.
Did they lower it?
No, it didn't, it just changed. Didn't go up, didn't go down.
If you don't read it,
I guess
read
that's
it.
What they changed their name to?
I don't think they've just added two,
Oh,
so.
Just adding there,
We've already signed one.
yes. While we wait on our attorney to take a gander at that, does anybody else have anything else before ending?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Hold that thought. I can't let you yet.
We didn't send the Annex A the 2020 engagement letter. It says it's,
That was all that was in the envelope.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I'm gonna call.
So at the advice of the attorney, I would entertain a motion to table the change of name for Baker Tilly.
Well, it talked, but I wanna explain why, because it talks about an, original signed letter, engagement letter, and I don't have it, and it's talking about irrevocably consenting to an assignment, and I don't know what that letter says, so I wanna call them and get the assignment, the letter.
I'll make a motion to, table that for tonight.
Yeah, I'll second it.
For me, with the comment section, I would like to get it listed on our agenda, just in case the public would like to comment on it, they would be listed on the agenda for public comment.
Well, and
Since
that,
it
I
is
just,
a agreement we're entering into.
we just got that.
I understand, no, I'm not
So,
saying, I'm just saying, moving forward to May, if we accept the motions in the second to table, we'll get it put on here, that'll allow the public to have input
Do
on
you
that.
want public comment to
So-
be an agenda item? I've never seen it on our agenda.
We can, or we could put it at the
Well, I
beginning
mean,
if you
it's
want.
really the president's pleasure if they're gonna allow public comment at all, so I just don't see it on the agenda, we
Sure.
usually do it at the end.
We can have that. I think
whatever you
it'd
wanna
be-
do. I
think
mean,
it'd be
really,
a
the
good-
agenda should be yours anyway, so
Okay.
if you wanna start telling us what you want on there, we're good with that.
Okay, well, I'll give you a call, and we'll figure
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
Sound good?
That sounds good.
Jonathan White made a motion to table the Baker Tilly, second from Collins. Any other questions, comments?
Was it Paige?
All in favor?
I'd be there.
5-0. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll move to adjourn.
Eric Gillespie with the motion to adjourn. Collins with the second. Any opposed? No. All in favor? 5-0. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Don't leave until I have your signatures.
Hey.